Welcome to Character Creation Cast, a show where we discuss and create characters, the best part of role-playing games, with guests using their favorite systems. I'm one of your hosts, Amelia Antrim.
And I am your other host, Ryan Bolter. Welcome, everyone, to our re-recorded inaugural episode. We have decided after 4 years of experience and, dare I say, professionalism.
You don't dare.
I know. We wanted our first episode out the gate to sound as good as the newest episodes. And honestly, the first time we recorded this, we had very little chemistry together because that was our first recording together.
We had done, did we do our practice ones before
we did some
our
practice ones? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was a total of like 4 conversations before we were like, let's make a podcast.
Exactly.
It'll be great.
It'll be great. So we're redoing this episode because why not? But for now, enjoy this new episode 0.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is the first thing that people listen to if you're one of those people that goes back in a feed and listens to a podcast from the beginning. Mm-hmm. This is the first thing that people hear.
Yes.
And I went back and listened to it, and oh, was it painful.
It hurt.
It hurt. You know, like not even because our sound quality was terrible. Obviously, Ryan has done an amazing job editing our show as we've gone forward. But we just, there was no charisma. There was no pizzazz.
No panache.
No panache. No chemistry at all. It was just like very clear that we were nervous about doing it. Mm-hmm. We were just kind of reading from a script, and you know, I think we had a good base of what we were trying to say. I think it was a helpful episode 0, but I'm really excited to like take this stroll down memory lane. We pulled up our old script, made some notes. And so I'm really excited to redo this.
Absolutely.
For this episode, we are going to discuss our vision for the show and a little bit of commentary on how we think we're doing on that vision that we had 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. What we hope the audience can get out of it. We're also going to go over some general questions that we'll be asking our guests when they come on the show. And you'll be able to get to know both of us a little better.
Absolutely. So Character Creation Cast is in part exactly what it sounds like. So it's a show about creating characters.
Whoa, mind blown.
I know.
It is as advertised.
As advertised. But actually, it's that's really only the beginning because, the idea started that way. I had tweeted out back in January 2018 about how much fun it would be to have a podcast that focused entirely on creating characters in different systems and discussing the process. And there was a lot of people that said, hey, this sounds great. Get it in my ears.
Also, I think a lot of people saying, is that not a thing already?
Exactly.
Because I felt like really surprised that wasn't a thing.
At least not mainstream, I guess, quote unquote.
No, not that we could really find.
Yeah. So really, since then, we have collaborated with some absolutely brilliant people, recorded some fantastic episodes, and made some really memorable characters that we can't wait to share with you.
Every month, we explore the process of character creation in a different system. We are joined by guests who are passionate about that game. So sometimes they are the designers of the game, which is really cool. Those are some of my favorite episodes because we get to kind of like pick their brains a little bit in ways that we don't get to otherwise. There are also actual play podcasters, people that are super familiar with the systems and play it all the time for an audience. And sometimes we have people who are just really big fans of a game. They just really love it.
I remember one series I had my best friend Adam Stewart on to teach us about the game that we're playing in our local group. And we had a fantastic time with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We just want to bring people on who are excited about the game that they're talking about, because those are the kinds of people that are really going to know those nitty-gritty details and are going to be able to help us find the really exciting parts of the game, the thing that makes each game different and unique. And so those are the kind of people we love talking to, are just people who are excited about this game and this system in particular.
Absolutely. Because if you have those sorts of people on to talk about it, it's going to get you excited as well. And honestly, as of this recording, we're 46 series into it. Mm-hmm. And we've covered probably 50 plus games at this point. And it's been a really fantastic journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you can probably expect for 99% of our regular episodes is in the first 2 episodes of every month, our character creation episodes, we will talk with our guests about the history of the system, the setting, and what exactly characters do during a game. Then together, we will go through the process of creating characters in the game, with each person creating a unique character and discussing why they made the choices they did.
Those are some of my favorite kind of back and forth moments in our episodes too, is asking people like, okay, well, why did you pick that? Or people just explaining like, well, you did this, so now I'm going to do this thing because I think it sounds really cool if we bounce things off of each other. And so
absolutely. Those
parts of making this have absolutely been, I think, some of the most surprising for me in that I love character creation. I think it's a ton of fun. But that process of like picking things definitely makes for better audio than I thought it would. Yeah. Just because hearing people like tell you why they're excited to pick that thing.
Exactly. And honestly, it's really interesting that just going through the character creation process, how much people have learned about these games.
Yeah.
Not just by listening to that process. And honestly, exploring new RPGs through the lens of character creation is kind of our motto around here a bit. We're kind of like we're like the one-shot podcast of character creation, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like the prequel to One Shot. Like they play the game and we make the characters.
Yeah, we don't play our characters.
No, we don't. That's as a policy. Just so you know, if you're coming here for an actual play, I'm sorry.
Yep,
this is not the show for you.
Yeah, I don't think it's happened in any of our regular series. We've done some AP in some of the Patreon bonus content.
I think at one time in the micro games we played the interview.
We kind of played.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I really have enjoyed those discussions about like why everybody picked things. I love hearing from people that say, hey, your show helps me find a new game. I also think that for a lot of people, character creation was their introduction to a game. I don't like the number of times we've had guests say that their intro to role-playing games was picking up this RPG book that they found in their dad's/uncle's/cousin's closet somewhere and not knowing what it was, but just like making characters, just making tons of characters. And so I feel like for so many people, because that was their intro to a game, this show is a really sort of like comfort zone for getting an intro to a new game. We're not throwing you right in where the rules are already happening like they are in an AP.
Absolutely.
It's that sort of slow build of figuring things out as you make your character.
Absolutely.
The third episode of every month is going to be a discussion episode. So this is after we've created the characters. We talk to our guests about their experience with the system, how they feel like it compares to other systems, and most importantly for me, how they feel like creating characters sets expectations for what playing the game will be like. We also talk a little bit about advancement and honestly, another great segment, our fan fiction segment, where we take our characters and we talk about what kind of story we might throw them into. What do we think might happen if we play? It's the closest we come to playing out a game. And we also get a chance to talk to our guests about themselves a little bit, some of the projects they're working on, some of their ideas about character creation, what makes for good characters, what makes for a good game.
Exactly. Then in between most series, we have Character Evolution Cast episodes. This is a series of episodes devoted to player advice. We feel that GMs aren't the only ones who need tips. Players are just as much a part of the table and are just as important to the outcome of a session. So we help you bake characters and we want to help you play them too, even if we don't.
hmm Yeah, I think this was a special, like, kind of pet project for me as somebody
Mhm.
who is a lifetime player, and I don't like to GM. And I think that a lot of advice out there is directed at GMs and becoming a better GM. But usually, in most cases, the players outnumber the GM. And
Mhm.
I don't love the idea that players just show up and the game happens. There's
Yeah.
so much you can do to enhance your role playing experience.
Yeah.
So we try to give you some advice and some tips on how to make that work and how to get the most out of that, kind of rare social time that you have as an
Yeah.
adult.
Absolutely. And honestly, GMs are players too.
That's true.
And they can also benefit from the advice that we give in those episodes. It's for everybody at the table.
Mhm.
And there's quite a few great things you can glean from so many of those Evolution Cast episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. I've personally gotten some great advice and things that I hadn't thought of before we sat down to do some of those.
Absolutely.
Occasionally, we also have spotlight episodes. They're little bonus episodes that come out in between things. Those ones highlight upcoming projects and new releases that we think people might be interested in. We sort of do a mini version of a regular series, giving a quick summary of the game, a rundown of character creation, and kind of a quick discussion, usually with the designer of the game. We love getting the chance to showcase amazing things that are happening in the RPG world. And our spotlight episodes give us a chance to do that more than once a month.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the format of the spotlight episodes evolving over time as well, to the point where we're actually able to record some of them together at this point. And we're also able to actually create characters instead of talk about how characters are created.
Yeah.
So if you want to tune into kind of how the latest format is, any of the latest spotlight episodes in the feed are going to have that sort of format, which is really nice.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. They're exciting episodes.
Absolutely. Our goal with this podcast is to showcase as many different games, gaming styles, and people in the community as we possibly can. We really want to get people excited about RPGs and about creating interesting and diverse characters. We are really proud of what we have created here, and we can't wait to share it all with you.
Except we can. Well, we have shared it with you for 4 years now.
For 4 years.
But we can't wait to keep sharing it with you, honestly.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're brand new to the podcast, you've got quite a lot of wonderful series to pick from. Go in chronological order, or just pick whatever ones sound interesting to you and go from there. There's good series and good games in pretty much every single series that we've done. So, I'm not ashamed to say any series you pull is going to be just a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing, too, that I think maybe we should say in our episode 0 that we didn't get to say the first time, is that each series is self-contained. Yeah. Occasionally, we'll have references to characters that we made before or kind of lessons that we learned in other episodes.
Or in-jokes.
In-jokes and discussions that we have. But each series is technically self-contained. So if there's a game that doesn't really appeal to you, or a guest that just kind of like, you're not feeling, or whatever, you want to jump around and only pick the Powered by the Apocalypse games, totally up to you. You can absolutely do that. It is meant, we hope, for everyone to listen to every episode because you love the show, but you absolutely don't have to, because as I say many, many times on this show, not everything is for everyone, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
We do want to give you a little chance to get to know us. We spend a lot of time interviewing other people on the show, and occasionally we'll talk about ourselves, but we'll give you a little quick rundown of who we are as your hosts. We are incredibly excited about the things that we have in store, but let's take a minute. Let's pause and give you an idea. We'll answer the questions that we would normally answer. We would normally ask in a discussion episode.
Yeah.
The main one, my big favorite cliche question, Ryan, how did you get started in RPGs? How you end up here?
How I hear?
How here? And more importantly, how do you tackle character creation? Once you've explained how you got here, tell me what you did from there.
Absolutely. So for me, I started playing RPGs back in middle school. way back in the yesteryear of 1993. The years with a 19 instead of a 20. I know. My friend Adam Stewart, which I mentioned earlier, approached me on the playground one day, saying that he found an ad in the school newspaper that was looking for people to join up and play role-playing games together. We initially thought, hey, we like Final Fantasy. It would be cool to play those games with others since we like playing them together too. So we went, and once we got there, it was a bunch of books. We were confused. I know. It was like, well, we like
no video games, just a bunch of books.
No video games. What's going on? But we were also very intrigued. So once my new friend Nate Ely pulled me in with his description was, imagine you are a superhero with the ability to control fire. You are walking down a dark alley and you hear something from the darkness ahead. What do you do? And this basic description lit my imagination as I pictured creating a flame in my hand and lighting up the surroundings. He said, all right, now you would be able to see into the darkness. And
little did you know, you were about to play World's Worst RPG. Amelia's least favorite game on the planet.
Heroes Unlimited. Exactly.
I just had to get it in there. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I was hooked. Even though it was Heroes Unlimited, as my first RPG experience, it was just fantastic. And I've been playing ever since. Really only a break after college due to everybody no longer living near one another.
Yes, adulting.
I know, too much adulting. And really, I've recently picked it back up with my discovery of the one-shot style of play. I've also had the opportunity to play more through the internet, which has been great, and have a home group that we're figuring out how to make it work. How about yourself, Amelia? How did you get your start in RPGs?
So I started playing RPGs in high school. I had a boyfriend. Shout out to you, Dexter Kep. He's still a friend of mine. But he played a lot of role-playing games, and he suggested that our group of friends start playing D20 Modern. I broke up with him mid-campaign, which went about how you would expect. I did not learn that lesson. I have since divorced and broken up with a GM mid-campaign. So, don't be like me, folks. If you want your campaign to keep running, don't break up with your GM in the middle of the game. I took a long time off during college and the few years after while I was raising little kids. And then I finally jumped back in around like 2014, 2015, when I kind of remembered how much I loved things. I started listening to actual play podcasts, and it kind of rekindled this desire to play again. I picked back up with a group again at that point with my husband, who I then, divorced mid-campaign. But it really lit this fire in me, reminding me that this is a thing that I genuinely loved. Even though I got that little taste of it at the beginning, it really has become a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to play nearly as many different games as I would like. I get to talk about them a lot. I get to do character creation for a lot of different games. I haven't gotten to play as many as I would like. But I'm fascinated trying to understand the ways that mechanics in a game can impact the stories that we tell at the table. That's really the part that hooks me. And I think character creation gives us a really great window into that. Ryan, I want to talk about your process for character creation, and especially want to talk a little bit about how it's super different from what you originally put in our outline. You've changed a little bit.
I have. Goodness gracious. So back when we started the show, my character creation philosophy was maybe I'll see an image online and that'll kind of spark some of my imagination to create something based around that artwork. Sometimes I want to recreate a character from another work of fiction. Sometimes I'll have a specific theme in mind for what character I'd like to bring to life. And lately, most of that theme is magical girls. just because it's easy to lean into my nonsense.
Yeah.
So really, you're going to see a lot of different characters in the beginning of our show, and then a whole bunch of magical girls.
Yeah.
And necromancers, because that's Amelia's go-to.
Yep.
And honestly, ever since our Deadlands Reloaded series, where I created the worst person imaginable, Dirge Stranglethorn, you'll meet him.
Mm-hmm. Dirge broke you.
Dirge broke me, and my characters since then have become a lot more three-dimensional, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to have done this podcast and gone through that experience, and allowing me to really deepen the pain that some of these characters can experience, along with like their hopefulness. So not all of my characters are super hopeful anymore.
Yeah, it's been really exciting to kind of see that growth for you, and like making these more complicated characters and telling these more difficult stories sometimes. And I very distinctly remember that conversation in our Headspace episode with Cinda saying, "But you're a bad person." You saying, "But like only kind of bad." Instead of being like, "No, Ryan, it says right here in the rules, you did something bad." And you were like, "But it's so hard for you. It's so hard for you.
It's so hard."
And you've definitely like still kind of leaned toward that, that good side for sure. And that's fine. That's your comfort zone. But you've definitely gotten out of that a little bit and trying to like make these more messy characters.
Yes. A little bit of darkness added to the light, which is such a phenomenal way to create characters I'm finding.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Amelia?
So I originally wrote in here that my process was informed by my love of narrative games. And I still think that's true. I like to tell stories. So when I build a character, I kind of consider what I want those themes to be. The thing is, when I wrote this, I had almost exclusively played campaigns. And I do love campaign play. I still much prefer it over one-shots because I like to have that character development. But over the course of making these characters, when you start making people and then never playing them, you don't need to think about like, what is their arc going to be? What kind of story am I hoping to tell with them? You just don't look at them the same way when you're like making them to be interesting on paper, but you never have to, like, I keep saying, you never have to suffer the consequences of your choices. So I do stand by the part where I said that I want to see them as a person. I like to think about their goals, their mannerisms, in particular, their flaws. Flaws are always where I feel like a character shines. That's where they start to become a real person to me. But I don't think that I focus so much on making sure that the mechanics reinforce narrative choices quite as much. Because that was always really important to me in campaign play, because I wanted something that would play out long term. I wanted to know that each character trait that I picked would kind of have a part in this character's story. But obviously, we're telling that story in like a 10-minute fan fiction section. So it's not as important. But I do still like to make sure that I'm representing the things on paper in my description of a character. I want to be able to say, this person has these flaws, has these passions, whatever. And I want that to be reflected in their stats.
Absolutely. So that's a little bit about us. Other things that we are up to. For me, I am the primary sound designer now and producer for A Horror Borealis, which is another show on the One Shot Podcast Network right now. And I am the dialogue editor for the tail end of the Broadswords series. They have been going for 4 years. And I just finished up the finale episode for them. And it's what a wild journey that's been as well. And dialogue editor for the tail end of the Venture Maidens Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign, which is exclusive to their Patreon. So I've been doing a lot of editing outside of this. But I'm also working on a game that we actually covered on the show called Chimera, powered by the Apocalypse RPG, where you blend multiple genres together. Kind of see what happens with that through collaborative world building, blending 2 playbooks together to see what sort of character comes out of that. And every single play test, it has just slapped so much. It is so good.
Yeah, I mean, even our creation episodes, like they were just phenomenal. Like the stuff that came out of it and the way that it managed to just blend together pretty seamlessly, even taking things that don't feel cohesive. It was awesome. It was fantastic. Yeah. Like I'm really excited to see everything that you do with this game.
Absolutely.
As for me, you can also hear my voice along with that of my best friend Jude on Garbage of the Five Rings, which is a podcast about the history and lore of the Legend of the Five Rings RPG and card game. It is a game that I fell in love with while playing it for a couple years, actually. And it was the first game I had played that wasn't just kind of over the top silly. And so it was really kind of has a special place in my heart. I didn't play the card game, but I did play the RPG. Yeah. We decided to start a podcast about it because Jude and I met through L5R. So we created this podcast that celebrates loving something deeply, but also knowing that it's trash. Yep. So it has it has a terrible storyline. It's all over the place. It's like worse than a telenovela. It's terrible. It's terrible, but we deeply love it. And so it comes from this place of like love and nostalgia. And so it's been so much fun to make. We've been on hiatus for a while, but we're hoping to come back. So we're going to keep working on it.
Absolutely.
Plugging away. Life is hard. I am also a 2021 and 2022 judge for the Any Awards, which is an award that celebrates excellence in all kinds of areas of RPGs, including writing and rules and art and layout and digital content, even podcasts, which we cannot currently be nominated for because I am a judge, but this is my final year of judging, so maybe next year. I get to read through hundreds of RPGs, and along with my fellow judges, we get to curate a list for fan voting, and then the awards are given out at Gen Con. It has been a huge learning experience. I get to see so many different games and so many different rule sets and just like discover new exciting things and see what's happening in the world of RPGs and have my mind absolutely blown by the creativity of people working in this hobby, in this industry. It's so cool. It's so cool. And I'm so lucky to be a part of it. I love it.
Absolutely. And it looks like you're having a lot of fun with it.
I am. It's a great time. It's so much work. It's so much work. But I love it. I love it. I wouldn't go back.
Absolutely. Well, another thing I wanted to touch on before we close out this episode 0, I know we had talked on probably twice as long as we did in our original recording, but this is us. And this is what you can expect throughout all of the series once we get over that hurdle of not really knowing each other too well. We had a ton of support from people throughout the years, and the response from all of you has been just absolutely amazing. So thank you to all of our existing fans. Thank you for, this is your first time listening to us, thank you for joining us. I think you're going to find a really fun, relaxing experience learning about new games and meeting some cool new people.
And that's still my favorite. Like, I don't know why that's the recurring thing that we get from people is like, this podcast is so relaxing to listen to. And every time I say, I love that you think that's the vibe I give off.
I guess somehow my relaxed nature pulls
just, like,
you down.
Overwhelms my my much more fiery side. But that's great. If that's what people get out of it, I love it.
It's a nice dichotomy.
It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy to hear that like people find this to be just like a chill, relaxing listen. It's great.
Absolutely. And this podcast started back in January of 2018 with a random idea. And I had the idea solidified like a day later or so. And then I recruited Amelia saying, I can't get this idea out of my head. Who wants to be my co-host? And Amelia said, pick me.
And then I sent you a color-coded outline like 2 days later. Was like, here are the bullet points for the meeting that we are having.
Yep. Yeah. And honestly, it's just been such an amazing journey together over these last 4 years. And I can say with utmost sincerity that there is no way I could have done this without you.
Yeah, no, I absolutely feel the same. I think that we we really, as a team, like we're so lucky because we didn't know each other at all before we did this.
Yeah.
We had some mutual friends, but that was it.
Yeah.
And I feel so lucky that like our energy just really balances really well, that we get all kinds of comments that we have good chemistry, and that worked out so wonderfully. I can't imagine trying to do this show with somebody else who doesn't sort of like temper me a little bit. And, I think that we've pushed each other in different ways because we are such different people that we've really allowed each other to kind of expand our horizons a lot in ways that I wouldn't have gotten to. And I think wouldn't have been confident enough to do a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like even the Ennies judging thing, like I put my name in for that. And I think a few years ago, I would have been like, who am I to do that?
Exactly.
That's like, you know what? I know how to read a game.
Exactly.
So, I'm really thankful for this experience. It's taught me so much. It's done so much for my life. I've made so many new friends. It has fulfilled what was kind of a creative void for me for a while. I really am. I'm proud of what we've made. I don't feel bad saying that. I'm really proud of what we've made. And I hope that people listening will enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed making it.
Absolutely. Really, we started this with a wish list of games that we wanted to cover. And that list just keeps growing.
It does. Even though we cover games every month, it keeps getting longer.
It keeps getting longer. It's like, oh, there's this game. Oh, this game. There's too many RPGs. That's
People
why.
People need to stop releasing them, honestly.
Never.
No, please don't. Please don't ever stop.
But, the more we think about games that we want to cover, the longer the list gets. And honestly, we'll never run out of games to cover on the show. No. And we're going to go as long as we enjoy doing this. And we have not stopped enjoying doing this since day one.
No.
So really, we're here for the long haul. Here's to another 4 years, if not more.
At least.
And really, I am excited to get into some old stuff that we had to drop, some new stuff that we were talking about. We've got plans for 2022 and beyond. So really, welcome. Come along with us for this journey and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is really, like, we're excited to bring this to you, and hopefully that comes through. I think those are my favorite podcasts to listen to, where you can tell people are excited and passionate, and I really hope that comes through. I will say that our first couple episodes are maybe not as good. We were so nervous.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that you will stick with us through those first couple where we've really gotten to a groove, because I think you can tell from this episode that we do have chemistry, and we get there.
We do get there.
But I want to thank everybody in the community who's kind of lent their voice to us to give us a boost. And I hope that we can be the people that do that for others in the future.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to everything that we have.
Yeah. And right now we're on the One Shot Podcast Network, which we didn't even think would have been a possibility when we started this. And honestly, the journey we had to get there was just a wild roller coaster of a ride. And now we're here amongst these amazing interview and actual play shows that really any single one of them is just a fantastic show to pick up and to be alongside them. As one of the big shows that continuously releases content is just a remarkable feeling. Yeah,
I mean, those are people that I look up to, and people that got me back into games and got me into podcasting. And so it's really exciting to be able to work with those people and be a part of that network and be supported by them. So it's blows my mind. It blows my mind still. How many years into it, I'm still like, I'm what?
What? I know, right?
Me? Okay.
Why not? Why not me?
Yeah. I really, like I said, I hope that we can do for people what people have done for us, and, kind of signal boost the things that we're excited about, that we can help support the community, that we can bring more people in, that we can help people feel welcome. And I think, I don't know, I'm just so excited for what we have going forward. I'm so excited about what we've made. Like, it's just been phenomenal.
It has been.
We want to create a podcast that is family friendly. We do have some kind of like adult topics sometimes, but we do keep it language free. We want it to be inclusive, and we want it to be informative for anybody who's interested in role-playing games, so that you have the knowledge when you sit down to play a game. And to that point, I would encourage anybody, if you have questions or anything, reach out to us. If you do end up listening to episodes and you say, you know, you keep using this word and I don't know what it means, let us know. We would love to know that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we have a Discord for a reason at discord.charactercreationcast.com. And you can just go there and chat with us any time of day. And, you know, we'll respond pretty quickly if we're around and able. Yeah,
like literally any time of day, because I have chronic insomnia.
I know, exactly.
All the time.
But you know what? We're there for you. Really, it's kind of a simple mission, this podcast, of create characters for multiple systems and to teach those systems and introduce the audience to cool people and cool games. But we're really excited to fulfill that, along with our listeners all cheering us on. So really, we have a lot of plans, like I said, for this podcast. And I think we're going to be doing some really great things. Needless to say, these plans are going to keep us going for years. So stay tuned for everything we have to offer. It's going to be an amazing ride. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you if you've been here for a while, if you're like re-listening to this episode 0, thank you for being with us for this long. And if you're new here, I really hope you enjoy what you find. We're happy to have you here. We really do appreciate everybody that stops in, even if it's just for a few minutes, that you took the time to check out what we're doing.
Absolutely. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation.
So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.
Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter at CreationCast or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can be found in the show notes. If you'd like to leave us a rating or review, we have links to various review platforms out there, including Apple Podcasts, in our show notes. Also, check the show notes for links to our other projects. Thanks for joining us, and remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We will see you next time.